Monday morning at the Barbican, a multi-million-pound development built by the Corporation of London to provide homes for 6,500 people. Private apartments that the planners hoped would fulfill their dream of a genuine residential neighbourhood incorporating schools, shops, open spaces and amenities, plus a touch of luxury. For a mere £4,500 a year, this is the kind of luxury you can afford, because that's how much this penthouse will cost when it's finally completed, with its 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a huge conservatory upstairs, and a balcony here with breathtaking views over London. But of course, there are only 3 of these penthouses in the Barbican development, but even a 1-bedroom flat costs as much as £15 a week. And some of the tenants here, particularly the families, are far from happy with the facilities that they get for their money. Their biggest headache is wash day. Before the arrival of the automatic washing machine, wash day was always a drudgery for the housewife. For many of the tenants in the luxury flats of the Barbican, it still is. On the whole of this 35-acre site, there's not a single laundrette. For tenants like Mrs. Helen Geary and her friend Mrs. Tomlins, that means a lot of inconvenience.
We generally make an arrangement that probably 2 of us go at a time, driving from the Barbican actually to the laundrette. This is approximately, I would say, 1.5 miles, and it greatly depends on the time of the day as to how long it takes one to get there. When you arrive at the laundrette, you've got to look for a parking space, unless you have decided to leave the laundry for the woman to actually do it for you. And that, of course, means then another journey down to collect it later on during the day. It's very time-wasting, and it's very frustrating because possibly when you get down to the laundrette, you find that there's no machine available.
Wash day is bad enough for people like Mrs. Geary, but it's even worse for young mothers with children like Valerie Healy and Jill Bowman.
I certainly have problems about washing, but there are other people who are much worse off than I am. There are working wives, bachelors and so on, and I really don't know how they manage to do their washing. I guess they just must do it by hand.
But it isn't only the lack of a laundrette that these young mothers are complaining about.
There are no facilities at all for children. You know, there's no play area at the moment and none planned. There are no preschool playgroups, anything like that at all. And also, the way the place is built, you know, there are several things which are dangerous for the children. You know, children haven't been thought about at all, and yet they are, of course, allowed to live in the flats, so it seems a bit silly.
Shopping is a problem. This shop is quite small, and it's the only shop that we have. As far as groceries go. What I think everybody would like to see is a really big supermarket, but I don't think it'll ever come because all the units are so small, the shop units that have been built.
How do the prices compare here shopping than elsewhere?
Well, they're high because the rents here are £1,000 a year, so, you know, they can't bring their prices down.
The tenants at the Barbican might be less inclined to complain, but for the fact that right on their doorstep there's a council estate, also run by the Corporation of London, with subsidised rents for people on low incomes. It's called the Golden Lane Estate, and not only does it have its own private laundrette, where a housewife can make an appointment to do her washing in comfort without even leaving the building, it also has a few luxury extras thrown in for good measure. Like a badminton court, 2 tennis courts, a youth club, an old people's club, all the shops you could possibly want, including a travel agent's for tenants to book their summer holidays in Mallorca, a nursery school, fees 5 pence a day, and the final icing on the cake, a fully heated 80-degree indoor swimming pool.
That was planned as one estate in 1952. Now, this estate was planned rather differently, and because of the size of the estate, some doubt as to what the people living on the estate would need, it's had to come along in sections. And the most important factor which has held some decisions up has been lack of knowledge as to whether the Court of Common Council, which is the local authority for the city, would have in fact last April 12 month agreed to the Arts Centre. Because if they had not done so, or not in that form, that land could have been used for other purposes, including some of those you mentioned. It did agree to the Arts Centre, and so the recreational provision when it is provided, will now be built on a site in Fan Street to the north of Barbican.
The Barbican tenants don't presume to aspire to the luxuries of the council estate. They'd settle quite happily for a preschool playgroup, a few more shops, and of course a laundrette. A recent survey amongst the tenants put a laundrette at the top of the list of the most important facilities the Barbican lacks. They also say that the corporation's been promising them a laundrette for nearly 2 years. Perhaps the assurance that we got from the housing manager may give them reason to hope that they won't have to wait very much longer. And can you give us then an assurance that there will be a laundrette built here in a few months' time,
Yes.
actually on the estate itself?
That I can give an assurance, yes.
And where will it be?
That we don't know. If we knew where it was, it would have been built by now. That has been the problem, to find a site for it.
But have you actually managed to find a site for it yet?
I believe the architects have found a site, yes.
So that particular problem will be resolved absolutely without question in a few months' time?
I believe so.